How I was thinking of it was anxiety. I mean, it bloody sucks, doesn't it? And like, we have so much reason for anxiety at the moment, like anxiety on top of anxiety on top of anxiety. And one of the ways that anxiety can suck is it sort of can kind of suck a little bit of way of like who we are. Sometimes you can really feel it affecting our personality. So you might be familiar with, terms like fight and flight, and then they added freeze as kind of stress responses. And now there's new ones coming up all the time. They've got, so fight, flight, freeze, and flatter, which I thought was quite an interesting one, that some people, when they're panicked, they just start flattering incessantly, right? So kind of like, I will get out of this situation by making nice with everyone. There's also submit, and that's a personal favorite of mine. That's what I know I go into. So part of the reason why I have this necklace, which says fierce, is to kind of remind me of that tendency and to counter it. So we're all really different. How we experience anxiety is going to be different. What we need is going to be different. But today, we're going to use a few things to start to calm down our nervous systems, and a few slow movements, a little meditation. And I'd love for you to think of it a bit like a pick and mix. So just in a pick and mix, if you don't like a coffee cream, don't eat the coffee cream. So if anything comes up that doesn't feel right for you today, if one side feels amazing but the other shoulder doesn't, feel free. Like, actually, let's all start with, at least for every anxiety we have a card of not doing a certain position or pose. So you can play that card at any time. Don't even second guess it. Don't even worry about it. Because this is how we get into our bodies. So we don't get in by doing every single movement. We get in by going, how do I feel? And that is a really important question to coming back to who we are and restoring a little bit of our personalities underneath what can be layers of anxiety. So we're going to start today in a nice, comfortable position. I did mention before, but before we started recording, we're going to use a strap or a belt today, a couple of pillows and something cozy for the end. So it could be a cardigan, it could be a blanket, just to have near you at the end. So we're going to start laying back onto the floor, if that feels good. And we're going to bend our knees. You can have a pillow underneath your head if that feels good, or you can lie back onto the floor. So we're just going to take a moment just to settle. So any little movements in your fingers, anything that feels a bit stiff that you want to do a little bit of movement here. And I'd recommend taking the feet a little wider than the hips, and then resting your knees onto one another. And that can just be really nice on the lower back. But like everything, if it doesn't feel nice for your lower back today, you might want your legs outstretched. You might have your soles of your feet together and your knees out. You might take a cushion and place it behind your thighs, which seems like a lot of decisions. And at the beginning of class, that can feel a little bit overwhelming. Oh, I've got to make a decision. So we're just going to slow down for a moment and then just see if you can feel it out, knowing that you can change your mind. Knowing that you can adjust at any point. And we're going to start to notice your feet. So starting with your little toes, all the way up to your biggest toe. Notice how they're doing. If they're touching the floor, or if they're touching the air, if they're inside your socks. How are they feeling today? And then starting to bring that awareness to the whole of your right foot. The outer edge of your foot, the inner edge, the heel, the arch, all of your foot. And then gently taking your attention over to the left foot. The toes, the arch, the ball of the foot, the heel, the outer edge, the top of your foot. And so now you're really aware of your left foot. Your left foot and your right foot and your left foot. And with your next exhale, just imagining both feet relaxing a little bit more. Then bringing your attention up to the right ankle, the right calf, the shin, the outer edge of your lower leg, the inner edge. As if you were wrapping your attention around everywhere from below your knee to above your ankle. On the right side, and then bringing the attention over to the left side. And as you exhale next, imagining everything from the knees to the tip of the toes, just relaxing a little bit more. Bringing your attention now to your left thigh. Once again, wrapping your attention around the thigh, the front, the sides, the back, everywhere from the knee all the way up to the hips. Really being aware of that left thigh. And then bringing your attention over to the right. Wrapping your attention around your right thigh. All the way up into your right hip. So the hip that's on the floor, noticing the floor underneath. Bringing your attention around the sides of the hip and the front of the hip. And then across the lowest part of your abdomen and over to the left hip. Around the outer edge and around the back where the sit bones are. And on your next exhale, imagining everything from your hips down to your toes, just getting a little heavier, giving them full permission. All the muscles in your legs, in your hips, in your feet, full permission to do a little less right now, to carry a little less. And then becoming aware of the lowest part of your spine. And then see if you can mentally, using your mind's eye, just start journeying up and along your spine, noticing where the curves are, where it lifts up off the floor, where it relaxes into the floor, all the way along your spine until it comes up between your shoulder blades, along your neck, to the very base of your head. And then on your next exhale, imagining all the muscles around your spine doing a little bit less, relying on the floor a little bit more. And then becoming aware of your abdomen, your rib cage, the front of your shoulders. And once again, giving full permission to those areas to sink into the certainty of the floor underneath you, into that support, so they can do a little less. Then bringing your attention along your right arm, all the way from the top of your shoulder down to your elbow, across your forearm, wrapping around your hands, the palm, back of your hands. So that whole right side, from your shoulder to your fingertips, feels that warmth of your attention. And then bringing the attention over to the left side, all the way from the shoulder down to the fingertips, as if you are now wrapping your attention all the way down the left arm, letting it get a little heavier. Then bringing your attention up and around your neck, sides of your throat, and around to your jaw. You might even open your jaw very slightly just to see if that relaxes any of the muscles around the jaw. It might not. Sometimes just even putting the tip of your tongue in between your upper and lower teeth can feel a slight softening. And bringing your attention up around your temples, between your eyebrows, across your forehead, and all the way up to the very top of your head. And as you inhale, you're going to think about your toes. And as you exhale, you're going to think about the top of your head. Inhale, thinking of that tension in your feet. As you exhale, thinking about that area right above your head. Taking a nice long inhale, and now imagining the air going in through your nose, down through your body to your feet. And then as it goes out, now charting the journey from your feet, along your legs, and all the way up, along your spine, between your shoulder blades, along the back of your neck, and out through the top of your head. Doing one more of those, just going with your own breath speed. And then just notice if any little adjustments need to be made in your body. So do you feel like you've settled into a spot, or would you like to change your position? So you can take one of the other options here. You can do a little shuffle. And then letting yourself resettle. We're going to start to tune in to where you feel anxiety in your body. So when you feel anxious, where do you feel it? And there's no right or wrong. It can be very focused or it can be diffused. It could be somewhere that you would be expecting it or somewhere that feels very unexpected. So we're mentally exploring the body, just seeing where anxiety is felt for you. And this will be perfectly unique to you. In giving mental attention to where that is. And seeing if you can investigate a little further. So we're bringing a compassionate gaze onto the parts of the body where you might feel anxiety. Or maybe you don't think of it as necessarily anxiety. It might be the feeling of being overwhelmed, of things just being too much. So imagining giving that area of the body that you felt the most a light or a color for that anxiety. And then in our mind's eye, just using our imagination, imagining anxiety gently shrinking. Maybe it's fusing into that light or that color. It's just getting a little bit smaller. Then imagining that light and that color with the anxiety. Now moving gently from that part of the body just to the side of the mat. It's not too far away, it's just we can pick it up at the end of the practice. But we're just imagining it, just sitting to the side of the mat. And just notice how you feel, just even mentally imagining that. And then very softly start to draw your knees back up. And maybe take your hands to your kneecaps if that feels good. And you might stretch your kneecaps a little bit away and then bring them in. Might take them around in a circle. And so as I'm saying the word might, it's really to give you space to see what feels best for you. So it might be just to hold still for a moment. It might be to do a slightly bigger circle. But seeing if you can tune in to what is the most lulling, comforting thing that feels right for you. And then if it feels good, you can take your knees wide and down and together. So drawing your knees up towards you and then independently going wide and down and together, just going as far as the length of your arms. And then turning that circle the other way around. And if at any point in the practice there is a sense of rising anxiety, at any point, you can return to that, sort of just imagining it floating off to the side of your mat. Just a little mental picture as you exhale. And then gently bring your knees into center and softly roll from side to side until you come all the way onto your side. You can make a little pillow with your head here and just lie on your side for a moment, just checking in with how you're feeling. And then softly use your hands to come up to a table position. So in table, our knees are under our hips, our hands are under our shoulders. So you might have noticed I took my time quite leisurely getting into this position, because even the transitions were lulling the body to bring down the adrenaline. So you can really feel things out, take your time from one thing to the next, and then slowly start to lower your stomach as your chest starts to softly come forward and your chin lifts gently. And then super slowly pressing down into the hands, start to round through your back here. So we're moving with the breath, inhaling as we lower, exhaling as we round back. So this is cat-cow. So as we lower the stomach, the way I picture it is that's when the stomach is expanded, so that's when we breathe in, filling up with air, and as we exhale, we're rounding back, belly button is coming up towards the spine. So all the air comes out. And doing one more of these. Again, just really taking your time. And then coming to a neutral back, take your hands one hand length in front of you. And this is where we're using that tuning in a little bit more to do a little free form movement here. So we're going to start to do a circle with the hips. So the circle can be quite small. And if you like, and if you're feeling like it today, you can start to make the circle a little bit bigger. And sometimes this is where we feel what's going on in our hips. So the most important thing here is to be comfortable. So if this is not feeling great on your hands, you can turn your hands into fists and you might do your hips softly from side to side. If this is feeling really good, then you might want to bring your hips all the way forward. So it really depends on how you feel today. And sometimes you find a really good spot and you just want to stay there for a moment. Breathing into that space, exhaling. And then gently moving on again and looking for the next one. And if you were turning one particular direction, just making sure that you turn the other direction as well. So finding what your hips like, what your lower back feels like here. And this process of listening to the body is super relaxing to the nervous system. When we're in a stress response, we're designed to not listen too much to our body because we have a lot of survival work to do. So listening to all its little quirks is actually sort of relationship establishing with your body. And then gently walking your hands back towards your knees. You're going to tuck your toes and come up and into a forward fold. So if you have another way that you want to get up, by all means use furniture. Coming into a forward fold here. Again, taking your time to come into it. And once you're there, just letting your head really relax. As you inhale, thinking about your feet in the floor. And then as you exhale, imagining that air coming out the top of your head. And just gently moving. Maybe your chin from side to side. You can softly move your head. And then gently take your hands to your thighs and start to walk your hands up your body all the way up to standing. And I will do a little adjustment here. Lovely. So have a look down at your feet and just see that they're roughly hip-width distance apart. Then as you inhale, taking your arms wide, really feeling that extension out through your fingers. It could be one hand, both hands, just see how it's feeling. And then exhale, bring your hands down, heart center. Closing your eyes here. And once again, thinking about your feet. Feeling them along the floor. Imagine breathing down into the feet. And then as you exhale, imagining the breath going up to your hips, along your spine, and out through the top of your head. And just noticing any little changes that when you even think about these things, changes, little postural differences. Inhale, swooping wide with the hands, looking up towards the ceiling. Take your hands together above you, and then exhale, hands come down, heart center. One more of these. Inhale, swooping wide, really enjoying that extension. And then exhale, hand comes down, heart center. So taking your right hand to your lower back. You can pick up your feet a little bit, again, just seeing how they feel, if they needed any little adjustment. And then slowly looking at your other hand as it starts to come up. And then little finger turns to the back of the room, and then keep looking as you start to do a nice slow circle down and back. As you coming down to your side, and then drawing up again, inhaling up, exhaling back and down. Last one of these, inhaling, coming up, And seeing if you can enjoy this last bit. So smiling it out as it carves that circle. Lovely. Gently coming to the other side. Know you can do any little adjustments in between. Finding your breath. And then slowly on an inhale, start to bring the other hand up. Turn your little finger towards the back of the room as you come up to the ceiling. And then carving a circle as big or as small as feels good today. And one side might be so different to the other side. So knowing at any point, if anything doesn't feel right, you can just stop. You can adjust. And coming into the third circle on this side. And then relaxing your hand by your side. And let's do a nice shoulder roll here. So with the shoulder rolls, you can start quite small and then make them a little bit more dramatic. So as if you were doing a stage shoulder roll. Yeah. So again, you're just doing it as big or as small as feels nice today. You can even, if you want, go a little crazy with it and take your legs a little bit wider, maybe fold over a bit, bend your knees, and then come up. You might add a little back bend, you might round it and down, yeah. So gently coming up and around and back. One more of these movements. Lovely, keeping this nice and slow so you can really feel it out. Super. Then bring your legs a little closer together. You can bring them together to touch if that feels nice. If it feels a little unbalanced today, bring them a little bit further apart. So we're just seeing how it feels. And then inhale, swoop the arms wide. And just notice if it feels different with the feet together. Exhale, hands come down, heart center. This time we're going to swoop the arms wide and keep them up. And we're going to think about our toes, relax our face, relax our shoulders. And maybe gently, as if someone was just lifting from your center, coming up slightly onto your toes and then coming down. So if that feels good, inhale coming up, exhale coming down, inhale coming up, exhale coming down. Super. And gently taking your arms wide and down. So from here, we're going to turn. I'm going to show you the mat a little bit more. There we go. So we're going to take a nice big step forward on the mat. So starting here, both toes are facing forward. And we're just going to take a nice big step. And then that foot comes up nice and high. So both toes are facing forward. And then when you're here, bring your hands to your heart center. Lovely. And then gently lean forward a little and step your feet towards each other. Yeah. And we're going to step back with the other foot. So gently lifting your right knee up and then gently stepping back. And how far you go back is really up to you. And just enjoying the stretch here. Might feel it on the front of your thigh. And then gently lean forward a little and coming up. Lovely. And we're going to go back with the other foot. And maybe taking a slightly longer stance. So if you want to do a little adjustment, just keeping that heel nice and high. So a little bit like how we did in that last pose. If you want, you can bring your arms up. And maybe looking up towards the ceiling, maybe not. Really depends how you're feeling. Again, like knowing that you can come out of any of these positions at any point. Taking a nice deep breath into your feet. And then letting the breath go, imagining it going out through the top of your head. Gently leaning forward and stepping together. The last one of these, so coming back with the right foot. And then once again, once you're there, you might adjust a wider stance or maybe not. Lovely. Thinking about your feet, keeping that back heel nice and high. Gently reaching up with your arms. Taking a nice deep breath in here. As you think of your feet and then exhale, imagining that air going up along your spine and out through the top of your head. Bring your hands to your heart center, gently leaning forward and stepping your feet together. Lovely. And then just closing your eyes for a moment. And then noticing your breath, noticing how your body is feeling now. And softly making your way back to table. So just coming down to the floor. And once again, doing a little side to side with the hips. And then take your right foot and place it on the floor behind you. So we're doing that same movement with the foot, your heel is nice and lifted. And then maybe press softly back into the heel. So you can feel a little stretch now down through the calf. Taking a nice long breath into your feet here. And then as you're on your next inhale, lifting that foot up, taking it over to the side. So the foot's crossing the body, so over to the left, and then look over your shoulder to look back towards your heel. So a little side stretch happening here. Breathing into your side. Again, only if it feels good. And then gently coming back through center. And coming to the calf stretch on this side. So yoga originally was taught by sort of a teacher, a mentor, one-to-one. So you'd move in with your yoga teacher and they would devise yoga just for you, just for your body. And so actually a couple of the big schools of yoga, they came originally from the same person, but two of the teachers had different bodies, so they were taught different yoga. So gently lifting that heel up, taking it across, and then looking over the other shoulder. So this idea that we need to do everything the same, with the poses need to look the same, that we need to do what everyone else is doing in class is actually quite a new thing. We can really make yoga as unique as we are. And then gently lifting up that heel, coming back through center, taking your toes together, knees a little bit wider, and coming back into a child's pose. So heels are down towards, your hips are towards your heels, and then you're gently just letting your head relax down onto the ground. If it doesn't meet the ground, this is where you can use one of your pillows. You could even take a pillow and put it between your heels and your hips. And just feeling the support of the floor going through your body. And softly coming up. You're going to grab that strap or that belt now. So you can just take it so it's nice and long, and come down onto our backs. Bend our knees, and then place your foot into the belt or the strap here. So there's lots of different options for this. So you can keep your lower left leg bent. You can keep your upper heel thinking about wanting to reach the ceiling and keep your leg in that direction. But sometimes the leg will start to shake a little, and then I would recommend bending your knee here. If that doesn't feel good, you can also forego the strap, just take your hands to the back of your thigh and just let your heel come down a little. So there's different options. If you like, if this is feeling good, you can stretch out the lower leg. And then seeing what you can relax around where the tight spots are. So if you're feeling this along the back of your thighs, can you soften and relax through the hips? Can you think about how you felt at the beginning? And that first pose that we did, where we did a body scan from the toes to the head, just letting the whole body soften. Can we create that quality of the jaw softening, the eyebrows being smoothed out, can we create that quality in a position where we are in a stretch? Can we relax the shoulders? Can we relax the hands? So this is where yoga is also a place that we can rehearse, where we can start to create a neuroplasticity. When we feel a restriction or a resistance, can we adjust? Can we choose an option that's better for us? And then if we're in the option that we like, can we soften into it? And on a very physical level, the more we are relaxed through the rest of the body, the more we are focusing the circulation on the area that really needs it. If our whole body was tense, our nervous systems would send out big alerts. All systems go. But here we get to have a little stretch, but keep that adrenaline and cortisol starting to come down, because we're breathing nice and easily, we're listening to the body. And then bending your lower knee if it isn't already bent. And from here we're going to take this, again, there's a few ways of doing this. You can, if there's a way that you like to do it, you can either hold it in your left hand or in your right hand. We're going to start to take the heel as if it was drawing a semicircle up and out to the side. I quite enjoy having my left hand on my left hip so it doesn't rise up, and then using my right hand. The different people find different arrangements of strap holding more secure, and that's what we're looking for, is a secure way. If you have a wall or a sofa, by the way, it is totally not cheating to let it rest on any piece of furniture. That's actually really, really nice, because what we're doing is we're creating a little support for the foot to relax the muscles and allow for this opening. And you're only going as far as your left hip still stays down and you can still breathe. So anything that takes away that relaxing quality of breath, we want to stay away from. And taking one more breath here. And then slowly on an inhale, gently draw that foot back up through center. And this is where I like to use the other hand. So the left hand onto that strap. And turning the toes a little bit towards the right shoulder, so they're on a slight diagonal. And then start to bring the heel over towards the left side, but not too far. So where we're looking for a sensation is on the outer edge of the spine, outer edge of the hip, right here. And sometimes that's a very, very small movement. And if we go all the way over, we sort of skip it. You usually know when you've run into it, you're like, oh, there it is. But don't worry if you haven't felt that sensation. It actually took me a few years before I found it. So taking a nice deep breath in here, letting it go. And softly bring the foot back through center, gently bending the knee. You might give it a little hug here. And then softly letting that leg stretch down along the mat. And then the other one down along the mat. And just see how that right side is feeling now. So noticing how your feet compare, the calves, the thighs, the hips, even maybe into the lower abdomen or the lower back. It might feel like one side is flatter to the floor, or it might even feel like one leg is longer than the other. It might just feel warmer. But having this time to notice how we feel physically, again, is very lulling to the body. Incredibly calming. On a physiological level. And then gently re-bending your knees. We're gonna softly come to the other side. So we're gonna now take your left foot up. And depending what's going on with this side of the body, this side might feel really different. So again, just gonna run through some of the options. You can keep your right knee bent. If your foot doesn't like being up towards the ceiling for any reason whatsoever, or if it just feels like it's a little bit shaky, just bend at the knee. You can always hold the back of the thigh here. If the foot is up and it's feeling comfortable and you would like to stretch down the other leg, you can. And also know that you can change your mind at any time. And just seeing how this side compares. So this tuning in, this listening, when we're in a stress response and when we're coming out of one, is almost quite radical. It might feel like we're going so slowly. Is anything even happening? But just as alarm signals, if we're imagining like the body on high alert, all signals firing, all alarm bells going, all hormones being sent out, scurrying away, sending messages around the body. When that goes into reverse and all the messages going around the body are, things are okay. Right now, in this moment, the heart rate is slow, the breath is slow. There's a listening, a tuning in. Everything must be okay right now. And as powerful as the alarm system is, so is the calming system. And sometimes it's known as rest and digest. The other name for it that I quite like for the calming parasympathetic nervous system is tend and befriend. Because when we are a little calmer, we can tend to our body's needs, tend to what it is that we need and would like and would be beneficial. We can befriend ourselves and be a little more open to others. And from here, seeing how you would like to come into the side stretch, I would recommend, unless it's part of your practice to keep that lower leg down, I'd recommend bending it. But again, see how you feel. And then imagine drawing a semicircle sort of in the air, out to the side with your toes, and super softly providing support for that foot. Once again, if there is a wall or a piece of furniture on this side, by all means, let it rest on it. Quite like right hand on the right hip, so the right hip isn't coming up, it's staying down. And taking your time and taking a nice deep breath, imagining your feet as you breathe in. And then imagining the air traveling all the way up and out of the body. And then slowly, slowly, as you inhale, come up through center. Turn the toes very slightly towards your left shoulder. And then just taking your heel, it's usually about an inch or two across and maybe another inch up. Again, we're all really different, so you can just take this time to do a little explore until you feel something along the outer edge of your hip. Taking one more breath here. And then slowly come back through center. Gently remove the strap. Let the knee come in towards you. Give it a little cuddle if that feels good. And then coming back into the legs outstretched. And just feeling maybe a little relief. Maybe that kind of post-stretching deliciousness. And see how your body is doing now. Seeing where it feels warmer or cooler. Just lying here for a moment. And then gently bring your knees in towards you. And if you have a blanket that you'd like to use, if you'd like to take a pillow, we're going to set up for Shavasana. So I'm going to bring a pillow for behind your head and maybe a pillow for underneath your thighs. And if you want to put on any socks or have a blanket just close by, we won't cover up just yet, but just having it within arm's reach. And then if it feels good, you can bring the soles of your feet together, especially resting on top of that cushion. And that can just feel nice for a moment. Bringing your hands to your stomach, or if you feel like it, you can take your left hand to your heart center and your right hand to your stomach. And taking this time to see how you're feeling. And then slowly draw your knees back up towards each other. If you have them out that way, you can do a little side to side with your knees. And take a nice deep breath in. And then as you exhale, just let your legs extend down over the cushion. And for me personally, I prefer 2 cushions behind my thighs and not 1 behind my head. So again, just knowing that you can change your mind about this position. And then this is the time that you can take your blanket and either cover up completely or just even having a folded blanket over your abdomen can be really nice. Anything that your breath wants to do now, it's totally on its own time. It can breathe in any way that it wants. And we're taking these last few minutes to seal in the practice today, to continue to reduce the hormones and steroids, such as adrenaline and cortisol. Have really big changes in the body. And particularly make us feel a little bit more comfortable physically, but also change the way we think. Our perspective gets a little wider as we get calmer. We find it easier to hear what we need. We find it easier to be around others, to connect. So as our body physically rests and digests, our brain and our emotions are in tend and befriend. Our brain has a wider perspective, which makes us feel a little bit more like ourselves. And gently having a little wiggle of your fingers, a little wiggle of your toes. If you like, you can stretch your arms up overhead. Take a big sigh, big yawn. You might point your toes. Just feeling yourself coming back into the room. Going back into yourself. And coming up to a comfortable seat and really acknowledging this time that you have spent today in your body, adapting to it, adjusting for it, taking care of it, and giving yourself a little bit of space to come back to feeling like you. At the beginning, I mentioned that little ball of anxiety that was alongside the mat. You're totally welcome to pick it back up if you feel like it at the end, or you can just leave it there if it feels better on the side of the mat. So I hope you feel a little more relaxed after that, and I will see you next time. Oh, and a little bit more shiny after that. And if you feel a bit tired before feeling shiny, loads of water will take that tiredness away. So yeah.